Back in either 2002 or 2003, my family got our first Xbox. I don't remember much about this Xbox except Halo and that dope startup screen it had. I mean, I was only 4 back in 2003, so I never really played games on it. I was more of a Game Boy kid playing Pokemon and Legend of Zelda, but that all changed when we got our Xbox 360. I don't remember when we got it, but I know it was within the first few years because we constantly had problems with the Red Ring of Death. The first game we had on it, besides that weird table tennis game that seemed to come with all of them, was Lost Planet, and apparently that table tennis game was made by Rockstar? I guess this was back before they could release one game that spanned 3 generations. Anyways, I remember we had Lost Planet and a free 1 month of Xbox Live that came with our Xbox, so we made a family account for everyone to play on. I would sit around and watch my brothers play Lost Planet online all the time, and even try it out myself, but I would always get destroyed. I didn't get into playing games on it until Halo 3, and that's when playing Xbox basically became like a full-time job for me. I would spend all day after school playing Halo 3 with my friends, whether it was custom games, finding all the skulls in campaign, casual multiplayer, or watching my brother play my account on ranked doubles and boosting my rank all the way up to 49. Halo 3, along with Call of Duty and Guitar Hero, were basically my childhood after that. This is all essentially a long way of saying that I sat around and ate junk food all day for the better part of my childhood. Safe to say that I gained a lot of weight during this time and I was not active or healthy at all. There's even a picture of me in a Speedo when I was really young and skinny that my family would always pull out to show people just how small I used to be. This weight started getting packed on during elementary school and stayed with me all the way through middle school and high school. My parents tried their hardest to get me out and doing active things, but none of it worked. I played soccer for 2 years, I was in football for 2 years, I was in basketball for 2 years, I tried out for the swim team, I even tried out for wrestling. My parents tried to get me to do pretty much everything except baseball, but none of this worked because every day I would still just go home and play Xbox. The only extracurricular activity that I did was marching band, and even though I didn't really lose weight from it, it did keep me away from home almost every day. Just ask my parents and they'll say that they didn't like that I was gone so much, but at least I wasn't home playing games. It wasn't until I went to college that I decided to finally get my weight under control and to try and eat healthy. As high school was coming to an end, I had more and more talks with some of my friends about how I was healthy and I'm not that overweight for my size, even though I knew that all of these were lies. I mentioned in one of my previous videos about college that I had a friend that tried getting me to go to the gym with him, but I always turned him down. Looking back, I'm not sure why I did. I think it was probably just I was intimidated by the gym like everyone else is before they start going. But one day when I was donating plasma, I stepped on the scale because they have to weigh you before each donation. And I saw that I had hit 225 pounds. I don't know why this number specifically did it, but that was like a tipping point for me. I was disappointed in myself and I finally wanted to make an attempt to get healthy. So I told my friend that I would start going to the gym with him and I've never looked back. The more and more I talk, the more I remember that this is a video about how I stay healthy while sitting around all day and not about my life story. So sorry if this was a bit long for an intro, but I figured I'd give some background about myself and hopefully show you guys that if I can lose the weight and stay healthy, then almost anyone can. Of course, I started going to the gym and eating healthy, even though I had no idea what I was doing. I feel like that's always what stops people from trying to be healthy. They have this idea that you don't really know what you're doing, so why bother doing it at all? The reality is that nobody knows what they're doing at first, but you're never going to learn if you don't try. Whenever people ask me how long I've been going to the gym, I always say something like, well, I've been going for 3 years, but I've been properly going for 2.5. And this isn't to say that those first 6 months were useless. Those first 6 months are probably when you see the most results no matter what you do because you're doing something new. The difference between my first 6 months and everything after that is that I know how to do most exercises at the gym, and I actually structure and plan out what I do instead of just showing up and running on the treadmill for a little bit and biking for a little bit after that and then leaving. And I can say the same about my eating. At first, I was strictly focusing on how many calories I took in. It didn't matter to me that every day I was literally eating fried chicken strips wrapped in a tortilla with lettuce and cheese. All I cared about was coming in under the calorie goal. Nowadays, I've done my fair share of research along with trial and error to know about micro and macronutrients, how to meal prep, healthy snacks, and how to have some self-control. These are all honestly pretty simple things, but you just need to get started. This is essentially all I do to stay healthy while sitting at a computer. We've all seen those articles or whatever that are like, gamers should do 10 push-ups after every death or something along those lines, but you don't need to do that crap. Of course, that will be beneficial, and I do believe that you should take breaks so you aren't sitting for long periods of time, but just getting up and walking around is good enough as long as you get some other form of exercise in. Now, I'll give my own personal routine. This is what I do almost every day, and it works for me. You don't need to do the exact same thing, but if you don't know where to start, then hopefully this helps out. Every day, I wake up bright and early and go to the gym. I try to shoot for waking up at 5 and getting to the gym at or before 6. Obviously, there are times where I have a late night and sleep in, or I'll miss my alarm, but even then, going to the gym is still the first thing I do in the day. The reason that I go so early is because the gym is pretty empty. Not only is this important during this pandemic, but it also means you don't need to wait for equipment as often. Personally, it's my favorite time to go to the gym, but if you don't want to go this early, then don't. Just pick some time during the day to go. You should at least commit to going a certain amount of times every week. I go every day except Sunday, and that's just what works for me. As a beginner, I started off by only going 3 times a week and slowly working my way up to where I am now. This is how I get almost all of my exercise, but I also have an Apple Watch that reminds me to get up every hour and to walk around or stretch for a bit. If you don't go to the gym and want to start going, there are plenty of good resources like YouTube videos or apps. You can even ask a friend to go to the gym with them. And trust me, if you ask a friend to go to the gym with them, they will be more than happy to take you and help you out. Now for the second and arguably more important part of the equation is my eating. For the past year and a half, I've been doing some form of meal prepping. I originally would make 10 meals that I would eat throughout the week. So that was 2 meals a day, Monday through Friday, that I had planned. The biggest problem with this was that it was just a shit ton of food to make at once, and it left my weekends without anything planned, which more often would result in me just getting fast food or takeout. For about the past year, I've been meal prepping in short bursts, I guess. I'll make large portions of food that I know that I can store in the fridge so I can eat the leftovers for 2 or 3 days. Either that or I'll make a ton of sides that I can quickly microwave so I only need to cook the main entree. I've hopped around between a lot of different meals, but as of right now, my normal day of eating looks like a protein shake in the morning after the gym, my meal prepped food for lunch, and oatmeal for dinner, so my days are pretty lunch heavy. Right now, what I meal prep is a homemade burrito along with a cup of brown rice and a cup and a half of mixed vegetables. Even though this may not sound like much or it may sound boring, it's what works for me and I enjoy it. I do this because I enjoy essentially eating 1 meal a day, but I do like having a snack at night, so I just eat a decent sized lunch and then oatmeal whenever I get hungry again. Of course, tracking calories is also important, especially when you just start out. Tracking helps you realize just how many calories you actually are eating. People always underestimate how many calories they're eating, so tracking is really important. I usually track calories whenever I change my meal prep meal. I make sure that the new meal doesn't push me over my goal and then stop tracking after a few days, as long as I make sure everything is made the same way every time. I use MyFitnessPal to track calories because it's super easy. I'm sure there's plenty of reviews about this app online. I just prefer it because it's free and you can scan barcodes, so it'll automatically add that food into the app. From my experience, this is about what it takes for me to stay healthy, even though most days I just sit behind a computer. I do sometimes go for walks and I get out of my house fairly often, but these are the constant things that I hold myself to every day. Again, what I do will not work for everyone. I suggest making sure you exercise often and watch what you eat, but you'll need to find what works for yourself. If you don't know where to begin, YouTube is a great resource. There's an endless amount of videos on here about exercising and eating. A good channel that covers both of those things and was very helpful to me when I first started out is AthleanX, so check him out if this motivated you at all. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like and subscribe. Other than that, I hope you all stay safe, and I'll see you next time.